It was February 1959. 9 experienced hikers set out on an expedition into the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. They were never supposed to return. When the rescue team finally reached their location weeks later, they didn't find a tragic accident. They found a crime scene that defies every law of logic. A tent ripped open from the inside. Hikers found barefoot in sub-zero temperatures, some with massive internal trauma, but no external wounds. Others with missing tongues and eyes. And the strangest part, high levels of radiation on their clothing. The Soviet government tried to bury it, labeling the cause of death as a compelling natural force. But that's not a cause of death. That's a confession. Today, we're peeling back the layers on one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in history, the Dyatlov Pass Incident. And the truth is far darker than you've been told. The setup, the expedition led by Igor Dyatlov. The group was comprised of students and graduates from the Ural Polytechnic Institute. They were seasoned, prepared, and ready for a challenging trek. This was a Category 3 route, the most difficult level at the time. They were in high spirits, documented by photos that remain, to this day, the last images of their lives. As they ascended the mountain known locally as Kholat Shakal, or Mountain of the Dead in the native Mansi language, the weather turned brutal. Winds howled, visibility dropped, and the group was forced to set up camp on an exposed slope. This was a critical error, but for men of their experience, it seemed calculated. They were waiting out a storm. What happened inside that tent over the next few hours is the crux of the mystery. The incident. The ripped tent. When rescuers finally discovered the camp, they found the tent partially buried in snow. It was slashed open from the inside, as if the occupants were desperate to escape something or someone that had breached their perimeter. Their boots, coats, and survival gear were still inside. The footprints, preserved in the snow, told an even more terrifying story. The hikers had left the tent, some in their socks, others barefoot, and they hadn't run in a chaotic panic. They had walked in a disciplined, orderly line down the slope toward the edge of the forest. It was as if they weren't fleeing an avalanche, but a threat that demanded absolute composure. The dark findings. The bodies were found in stages. The first 2 were found by a cedar tree near the remains of a fire, dressed only in their underwear. Their hands were burned, suggesting they had tried to feed the fire directly. But then, the others, the next 3 including Dyatlov, were found scattered between the tree and the tent, as if they had tried to crawl back to safety. But their deaths weren't caused by the cold. One had a fractured skull, a force comparable to a car crash. Yet there was no bruising on the skin. Another had chest trauma so severe it would have required the force of a massive impact. But their clothing was entirely intact. 2 months later, the final 4 hikers were found in a ravine. Their bodies told a story of grotesque violence. 1 had a fractured skull, 2 had broken ribs, and 1 was missing their tongue and eyes. This was not a nature documentary. This was a slaughter. The cover-up and the theories. The Soviet authorities were panicked. They quickly opened an investigation, then just as quickly closed it. The files were sealed, hidden away in a secret archive. When they were finally leaked decades later, they lacked critical documentation, including autopsy reports and forensic analysis of the clothing. Why the radiation? Was it a failed military test? Some claim the site was used for secret missile testing. Others suggest an infrasound attack. Low-frequency sound waves generated by wind over specific mountain formations that can cause panic and physical trauma. But the missing organs? That doesn't fit with sound waves. That fits with something that wanted to remove evidence. Are these bizarre historical facts, or are they proof that we are not the masters of our own world? The Dyatlov Pass Incident remains the most unsettling 49 scary true story because it challenges our desire for a logical ending. It suggests that there are forces, perhaps military, perhaps quantum, perhaps something else, that operate completely outside our understanding of reality. Conclusion. The mountain still stands, silent and indifferent. The government still offers no answers, and the families of the victims are still waiting for a truth that likely no longer exists. The Dyatlov Pass mystery is not just a story of 9 hikers who died. It's a story about the fragility of our safety, the darkness of government secrets, and the terrifying realization that there are things in this world that are simply meant to be unexplained. What do you think really happened that night on the Mountain of the Dead? Was it a secret military test gone wrong, an infrasound event, or something that defies scientific explanation entirely? Drop your theories in the comments below. If you want to keep digging into the shadows of the past, subscribe and hit the bell. We're only getting started. There are more disturbing facts to reveal, and you won't want to miss what we're uncovering next. Reality is just the surface. The real truth is underneath.